Batman was first called the Dark Knight in Batman #1 from 1940. The name stuck and became very popular in the lore of the character. But what I want to know is, could Batman be a real modern-day knight? Welcome to Comic Misconceptions, I'm Scott, and a knighthood is one of the highest honors one can achieve in the United Kingdom. There's some debate about the exact origin of knighthoods, but for most of its history it was associated with military merit. When you think of knights, you might think of medieval warriors covered head to toe in heavy armor. This interpretation of knighthood is likely what Batman's moniker of the Dark Knight referred to when its title was first introduced. Batman actually has quite a few things in common with medieval knights. For starters, knighthood, at least in its early days, wasn't something you could be born into. It was something you had to spend years of your life training for. A child would start training to be a knight at age 7 or so, and if he were judged worthy, were bestowed knighthood around the age of 21. Most of their life at that point consisted almost entirely of training for knighthood. This is similar to how Bruce spent years of his own life training to become Batman after his parents were shot in front of him when he himself was just a young child. Thankfully, Bruce has some decent money that allows him to afford his bat suits and gadgets and vehicles, and this is actually fairly similar to knights as well. Being a knight was expensive, and candidates for knighthood were expected to have the financial ability to afford armor, weapons, and horses that they needed to be an effective fighting force. But being a knight today is very different from how it was in medieval times. While modern knighthood was first meant to honor outstanding military behavior during war, it brought in to include citizens who have made a very substantial contribution to the United Kingdom. If you qualify, the Queen, or a member of the royal family standing in for her, can dub you a knight, or a dame if you're a woman. Knighthood doesn't really do much practically, other than just being an honor. Most of the perks include special formal wear and badges, and you get to add Sir or Dame in front of your name, like Sir Ian McKellen, for example. There are also often post-nominal letters that indicate their rank, like Sir Patrick Stewart, OBE, which means he's an officer of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire. There are lots of these intricate naming rules that I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on, but you get the point. Now, enough talk about X-Men actors, let's talk about Batman. Could Batman become a knight? And look, I know there is a comic where Batman is a literal knight, but we're not going to count that one. I want to see if he qualifies for modern knighthood. And just to be fair, I'm going to pull examples from a lot of different iterations of Batman instead of following one strict continuity. So I know that all the stories I'll be referencing won't technically be the same singular Batman, but I think it'll be more fun. There are two main criteria that Batman needs to meet in order to be eligible for knighthood. The first one is simple. Batman needs to be a citizen of the British realm. Unfortunately, as far as I know, he is not. Thankfully, there is a workaround we can use. While Batman might not be eligible for an official knighthood, he could qualify for an honorary knighthood. Recipients of honorary knighthood are typically people who aren't citizens of the British realm, but through their actions, they accomplish some good in regards to the kingdom, like American actor Kevin Spacey, who recently received his knighthood for all his work on reviving London's 200-year-old venue, the Old Vic Theatre, since 2003. Or Bill Gates, who has made a huge worldwide impact as an important business leader, along with his work on poverty reduction and a global health program in the developing world. So while that might not be specifically centered around the UK, making a global impact by definition means that you have impacted the United Kingdom, since it is located on this planet. The main difference between knighthood and honorary knighthood is that official knights can use the prefix Sir or Dame in front of their names, while honorary knights cannot. So while we might not be referring to the Caped Crusader as Sir Batman, it's still possible that he could be an honorary knight if he meets the second most important criteria. Batman has to have made a significant contribution to national life in the UK. Alright, so what does that mean exactly, significant contribution? Well, it could be any number of things, from science and business to art and religion and everything in between. Batman's efforts would probably best fit in the law enforcement category, as he does work with the police to catch dangerous criminals, or possibly even the humanitarian category in his efforts to make the world a safer place. Category doesn't really matter though. The important thing to note is that his contribution doesn't need to fit into a specific box. So we're gonna just focus on him doing what he does best, fighting crime. Let's take a look at a few stories where I think Batman made an impact in the United Kingdom. In a story from Detective Comics number 572 from 1987, Batman saved the Queen herself from a bomb that was implanted in a book by a henchman whose allegiance was to a descendant of Moriarty, the famous Sherlock Holmes villain. Saying that all out loud, That sounds really crazy. Batman even got an assist from the real Sherlock Holmes, who was still somehow alive, but saving the Queen from a direct threat to her life is definitely impactful and should certainly make her more willing to knight Batman, but that is just one story. Take another one from the wonderful Batman animated series, where Alfred and his cousin are kidnapped and effectively tortured by the villainous Red Claw for the launch codes to a nuclear missile. She launches the missile and sends it on its way to the middle of London. Acting quickly, Batman hops in the Batwing, shoots it down with mere moments to spare before it hits its target, saving thousands of innocent lives in England. Man, I love that show. And let's not forget about Batman Incorporated, a network of international crime-fighting agents who are stationed all around the globe, including London. Heck, that alone could probably make Bruce Wayne eligible for knighthood separately from Batman, since Bruce openly funds Batman Inc. as a legitimate business. But Batman is still effectively the boss, so I think that counts in his favor as well. There are, of course, many other stories where Batman saves the day in the UK. Helping Scotland Yard stop a jewel thief in Detective Comics number 110, for example, could also count, but you get the point. Heck, you could probably even argue that him helping stop worldwide threats with the Justice League could also count in his favor. By saving the world, you effectively save every single citizen of the British realm that there is. I'm confident in saying that Batman more than meets this criteria in the quest for knighthood. Stopping menacing villains and saving countless lives of national citizens in the process seems like it could be rewarded with some honors. That, paired with the citizenship loophole from earlier, means that Batman is well on his way to becoming an honorary knight. But there is an important factor we're overlooking. Knighthoods are optional. If you are offered one, you can absolutely turn it down if you don't want it. Some people have turned down the honor because they don't want to be seen as some kind of authority figure or someone who is above the average citizen. Others have aggressively rejected it, thinking that the title means nothing other than pretentious snobbery. And there are others still who have turned it down simply because they don't believe it to be an achievement that means anything to them personally. Playwright George Bernard Shaw rejected knighthood, stating that merit in writing could only be earned by how authors are remembered after they die. David Bowie turned his down, saying, quote, "It's not what I spent my life working for," end quote. I think even if Batman was offered a knighthood, he would turn it down due to the honor not meaning much in his own personal mission to rid Gotham of crime. Perhaps, like Shaw, Batman believes that his own achievements can only be measured by how he's remembered or by how his presence has affected Gotham and the rest of the world. Bruce might believe that being the Dark Knight is more meaningful than being an actual knight. What do you guys think? Does Batman qualify for knighthood? And if he does, do you think he'd even accept it? What other fictional characters do you think could be knights? Let's talk about it all in the comments below. And if this is your first time hanging out with us here at NerdSync, consider subscribing to our channel. We make new videos every week that ask questions and make learning a little bit more accessible through the amazing world of comics. So make sure you hit that big sexy subscribe button right down there so you don't miss out on anything. Once again, I am Scott. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll see you guys right here on Friday for another exciting comic book video. See ya.